Hello, everybody, and welcome to this quarter's cybersecurity update. What we're going to do over on this quarter is we're going to talk about cybersecurity insurance. This is an extremely important topic. It's one that people have been asking us about a lot, so we thought it made a lot of sense to kind of do a webinar on it and show you what we know. We're also going to bring in Dan Costa from our vCIO group, and then kind enough to have Chris Brook from insurance broker help us as well kind of understand some of the ins and outs of insurance. So with that, let's get going. All right, so first thing we want to talk about is why do we care? So cybersecurity attacks, we have a twofold problem in our industry. Number one, 75% of small businesses are reportedly could not recover from some kind of cybersecurity attack. That's a big, big problem and a big risk. The other part of it is that 82% of the ransomware attacks happen on small to medium-sized businesses. So you have businesses that can't survive an attack, and they're the ones that are the biggest target of an attack. So it's a bad combination, obviously. Why do small businesses get attacked, right? So small businesses get attacked I'll put it this way. I think small businesses get attacked because of the resources that are available to them. The bigger companies have more resources available that can protect themselves and their team from attacks. Are they beyond attack? No, definitely. We've seen plenty of targets and plenty of news articles where big companies are attacked as well. So they're obviously not beyond being attacked, but it's a lot easier to attack the small companies, and that's why they become the targets of those attacks. What you need to do is make sure you train your staff, keep them up to date. We're going to go through that in this presentation and also talk about some of the future presentations as well. But just know that basically small businesses have about 350% more attacks than the typical large company. Most small businesses don't spend enough time evaluating and working on their cybersecurity. That's also incredible. The bad guys know that, right? They know that you're not spending it, so that's where they're going to go after. So you really need to be that one that's different. You need to be that company that is protected so that when they come across you, they just move on to the next people, right? You want to be that house in the neighborhood that has the door locked, and then they're going to go next door to the neighbor because they were silly enough to leave their door unlocked. All right, real quick update on who we are. We are Braver. We're a managed service provider up in the Northeast. We have clients all across the country. We are also, we handle all sorts of industries from manufacturing, legal, construction, healthcare, you name it. We have clients in every single one of those. We perform every single service that you could need as a managed service provider. We also have a national reach. We're part of New Charter Technologies, which is part of our national collection of other MSPs, so we can all help our clients keep going. All right, enough of the quick commercial. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to talk about today is cybersecurity insurance. Is it even worth getting it? We're going to tell you if it is and why. We're going to talk about what type of policies that you need, how cyber insurance can protect you, and how to avoid future incidents, which is the most important part of it. So that's why we put it at the end to make you watch it. All right, so cybersecurity, what is it? All right, I am full disclaimer here. Sorry, Chris Brook, who's going to be presenting in a little bit. I hate insurance. I don't buy most types of insurance. I don't buy extended warranties. I don't buy any of that information. My thought has always been that I'm going to save enough money by not buying no insurance that I can more justify replacing whatever I need to. That is not the case when it comes to your business and your business data. A lot of that data cannot be replaced. It is, you could actually have business loss. You could have to have sustainable business interruption if you don't have this insurance in place to help you. This is one of the insurances I buy. This is one of the insurances that I get. And again, I don't like buying insurance. So the difference with cyber insurance is not the same as regular insurance, right? Regular insurance is going to protect your fixed assets. It's going to protect your furniture, your car, your vehicles, your house, whatever. Cyber insurance is really protecting a theoretical asset. It's protecting intellectual property. It's kind of business continuity that it's providing. That's why it's important, is that it's going to keep you up and running. The so basically the cost of cyber attacks has risen substantially, right? The value that they've been able to get has been better. They keep honing their craft. They keep getting better at what they do. So what's happening is the cost of the insurance is gone up with that as well. The insurance companies are not silly. They're tired of paying claims, so they want you to be more secure. That's what this webinar is going to be. We're going to tell you how to try and decrease your premiums by increasing your security. That's what the insurance companies want to see. They want to see you with a more stable and risk-averse environment. That's what this is for. This is what our other cybersecurity trainings are for as well. All right, so what do you need to know? Number one question we get, well, I have virus protection. Isn't that enough? And actually, our clients have more than just virus protection. We're going to tell you, you actually have a whole nother level of virus protection, but it's still not enough. Why is it not enough? Because the bad guys don't always go in through the front door. They're going in through the window. They're going in through the garage. They're going in through the bulkhead. They're coming in every direction that they can. The virus is protecting the front door, but a lot of your users are going to be socially engineered. Virus protection isn't going to help you being socially engineered. Essentially, if you have 25 locks on your front door and you have it bolted and you have it everything like that, and then somebody knocks on the door and says, "Hey, can I come in?" And your 5-year-old kid says, "Oh, yeah, no problem." They open up the door and let you in, let them in the house. Didn't matter how much security you had. You just let them in. That's what happens to the bad guys when they do social engineering. They're not going through the traditional methods of hacking or anything like that. They're going to the most vulnerable asset you have, which is unfortunately your team and your user base, and not being secure. So virus protection is only one part of it. User training is the other part of it. And actually more than just virus protection, obviously, but virus protection being the one that most people associate with security, if you will. All right, so the insurers are going to consider different size and different things, and this is where you're going to talk with your insurance broker. And like I said, we have a benefit of having one on the meeting today, who's going to size up your company and what your insurance needs are based on what your risk is. So that's going to have to do with your industry and all of that stuff. And they're going to give you advice on what you have. But one of the things to keep in mind is when it comes time to these questions that you're going to get, and you will get a questionnaire for cybersecurity insurance. When you get those questions for your cybersecurity insurance claim, there's going to be questions on there that you may not be able to answer yes on. And that's okay most of the time, right? Not most of the time, sorry, some of the time. It depends on the question, right? Like if you don't have basic blocking and tackling, that's a problem. But if you do have the basic blocking and tackling, if they say, "Hey, do you have a firewall that does this?" You might come back and say, "No, I don't have a firewall that does that. That's a $30,000 firewall. I don't have the budget for that $30,000 firewall." That's okay. What you want to do is you want to have the security in place for a company your size and your industry. That's what they're looking for, is that level of security you have. You need to have very basic blocking and tackling in place to get that done. You need to have the basics of, okay, this is what security I need. How do you know what security you need, those basic blocking and tackling? Well, for our clients, happy to tell you, we actually put them right in our security scorecard. So we actually give them to you. These are the basic blocking and tackling that you should have. This is what you do and don't have in place. We give this to our clients on a regular basis so they know where they are. So when it comes time for these security questionnaires, hopefully you can automatically just answer yes to them and move on. All right, so what are some of the other things that you need to have in place? You should have an incident response plan. Good news for you. We just did a webinar where we actually went through showing you how to build an incident response plan. So we've already done the work for you. You just have to go out and watch that video and go through. Train your employees. That's what this webinar is for. That's what all of our webinars for. Multi-factor authentication. Oh my God! If there's nothing else you take away from this entire webinar, make sure you have multi-factor authentication on everything and everywhere. Endpoint detection and response. We're going to go through what we provide our clients, which is a whole nother level of that. You might have some security incident response, or SIEM is commonly referred to, which is going to detect tracking on that. That's going to be required more and more as time goes on. And then the most obvious is data backup and recovery testing. We back up our clients' data servers on an hourly basis. We test them on a monthly basis, and then we spin them up on a quarterly basis. That's your basic blocking and tackling. Okay, so with that, now we're going to go over to Chris Brook and get some information from an insurance expert.
My name is Christopher Brook from Brook Insurance Associates. I've been an insurance broker for over 25 years, and I was asked to speak to you today about the growth of cybercrime and ways that you can protect yourself through things that you can do, and also by purchasing cyber insurance. Our goal, as an insurance agent, is to try to get your life back together again to pre-loss condition whenever possible. Cybercrime now is, we've heard on the news every day about foreign governments getting involved, North Korea, Russia, and Nigeria, and other countries, including Ukraine, unfortunately, that have targeted the U.S. because we're a wealthy country and we're very trusting. And they've exploited that trust in various ways through phishing schemes to steal our money. At the end of the day, their goal is just to extort money out of us. So we put together a little presentation that we hope today will help educate you on things you can do to protect yourself and your business. So cyber liability policies help you with things like data breach attacks, cyber attacks, phishing, data loggers, malware. What does that technobabble mean? We've all received a sketchy looking email and we've clicked on it. Well, when you do that, they can an outside person can take over your computer with something called a data logger. The data logger can read all of your keystrokes, i.e. your username and password as you're logging into your banking account, for example, and now they can see what you've got in your checking account and try to get access to that. Other types of insurance for property and liability exclude cyber liability. So it's either an endorsement if you're a very small business to your existing policy, but most oftentimes it's a standalone cyber liability policy. The cyber liability policy can be very watered down, where it's only giving you a fixed amount of coverage, say $25,000 as an endorsement for say $400 or $500 a year. Or we have customers that pay us 7 figures for their premium because they have a very large exposure. They have hundreds of employees and thousands of customers that could be impacted if they have a data breach. Who would be an example of that? You could think of most hospitals. If they have your social security number, your credit card number, all your personal information in a database, and they're hacked, that's a bad day for all of their customers. Obviously, states, the legislatures have gotten involved with fining businesses very heavily, and unfortunately, their best enforcement tool is to find someone as a business owner that's a victim of being hacked and putting you up on the local news, and now your reputation can take a big hit. You can lose your customer base over it, you can lose all your current growth objectives, and you're now in damage control. So having a cyber liability strategy as well as having cyber insurance is crucial to that, because I'm 53 years old. I used to be the insurance expert as well as the computer expert. I am no longer the computer expert. I have people that are much younger than me, minding the till on that. But any one of my employees could simply get an innocuous email and click on it, and that's it. The data breach attack is underway. And having systems in place to protect, good robust firewalls, you're updating your computer software regularly, and then all the other strategies that Ken will talk to you about are very important. So what do you do if you're hacked? The investigation cost is first party coverage, which is you. You'd think, okay, what do I need to do? Your direct customers, what do they need to do? How do I notify them? I've been involved with the cyber claims, and basically, the customer who had bought the policy has to notify all of their customers that they've had a data breach. They have to send a first class letter, a lot of expense. So the cyber policy would actually pay for that. It would notify all your customers. Then oftentimes the customers often are entitled under state laws to data monitoring coverage. You'd be responsible to pay for that. The cyber insurance would pay for that as well. For the next slide here, lawyers' fees. Obviously, you can be sued if your client's data is in the wrong hands. You could be getting served lawsuits, and that's a very scary prospect. Customers call me in a panic when they get that lawyer's letter. They don't know what to do, and then obviously filing the claim with the insurance company, letting the professionals deal with it. The insurance companies have lawyers that specialize in cyber liability. They do this for a living all day long. They know how to best to defend you and advise you to get you out of a bad situation. Cyber liability coverage, obviously now we all have a phone, and people overlook that. Now I'm looking at my emails on my phone when I'm traveling more than I'm looking at on my desktop computer or my laptop now. How good is the data on your smartphone? So things like that, your data professional can help extend coverage onto all your smart devices as you're traveling to make sure if you're in the airport, and this happened to me, and you're scrolling through and you're looking at your Facebook, there's people out there that can see your data. They picked up my username and password from my Facebook, and if you use that same password for, say, your Amazon account, they're out there shopping for themselves on your dime. So simple things like that you don't think of. You're just bored sometime and you're on someone else's Wi-Fi network. A good data professional can help protect those devices so you don't have a problem with a VPN, a virtual private network. Ransom coverage. You can come in one day, flip on your computer, and boom, you get the big black screen of death, or you get a message on there demanding Bitcoin. What do you do? Contacting a cyber coach that the insurance company can pay for. Again, depending, like everything else in life, you get what you pay for. If you buy a little small endorsement on a BOP, that might be fine if you're a bakery because you really don't have a cyber exposure. You sell direct to consumers. They're coming in and they're buying Irish soda bread on St. Patrick's Day. They're buying Zapolas on St. Joseph's Day. They're buying a loaf of bread the rest of the year. You really don't have a lot of exposure. You've got credit cards and that's it. Then there's other businesses, obviously we're all familiar with Amazon. Everything is online with them. You never talk to a person, and everything is completely automated. If they can insert themselves into that process and you're selling online, you have a much bigger exposure. If you're keeping personal clients as an insurance agent, closing attorneys, for example, were a big target because they have all this financial data. They have all the routing numbers and accounting numbers. So you go in for your closing, you sign a whole bunch of paperwork to buy that house, and now they're routing money around. They're getting money from the banks, sending it to the account number of the person that sold the piece of real estate. They're sending commissions to the realtor, and they have your account number as well. So if they were to get hacked, they have a lot of personal information. So even a small closing attorney firm can be a big target because of the amount of information. And phishing schemes can have been as simple as, hey, it's the day of the closing. We're from such and such bank, and we're going to give you the new routing number to send the transaction for the $400,000 to buy this house. And it's not the bank that was making the phone calls, sending the email, and now they route the money to an improper account, and that money can be just gone. So a cyber coach is a lawyer that specializes in cybercrime. They'll help you coordinate with the FBI, state police, local police, and how to identify how best to mitigate your risk. And we've all heard of sometimes it's best to pay the Bitcoin, get your data back because you don't have a backup strategy. Sometimes it's best, you walk away, you have a good backup data strategy, and you can recreate all your data, and you don't need that particular PC. And your data professionals can help you get that back online. Regulatory claims expense, that's obviously the scariest part for most people. Again, if the state and federal government decides to come down on you to make an example of you because you've had some type of data breach, that's obviously not a happy day. And the insurance company can help you with that as well if you've purchased the right types of coverage. So it's like anything else in life, folks. If you buy cheap, you can't expect it. You're not driving a Mercedes. You're not driving, something. You've got an Econobox type of coverage. You have an Econobox type of insurance policy. So having a good insurance agent to sit down and speak with these things about, and actually having a frank conversation before the data breach is super important in today's world. There's less chance that someone's going to throw a rock through your window and try to steal your cash register than they're going to try to steal your personal data and get into your banking accounts and steal your client data. Reputation coverage is one thing that's super important. What is the value of your reputation? Your blood, sweat, and tears went into your business. What separates you from your competition out there quickly goes downhill if all of a sudden you're in the newspaper, you're on TV that you've had a data breach. And we can all think of the companies that have had the data breach. And one company that most of us are familiar with was BP. When the BP oil spill happened, obviously that was a global event. Every person in the world knew BP's name at that point and not in a good way. How are they going to survive that? Their PR campaign, they spent tens of millions. I wasn't involved with it, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars with TV ads, help reaching out to the community, trying to help local business owners, trying to help any affected homeowners get back to their life, to rebuild their reputation. And having insurance for that is crucial. The average data claim now is over $1.2 million. And if you've bought $1 million policy, now have a $200,000 deductible on top of whatever policy deductible you may have. So having reputation coverage built in with a cyber policy is crucial. Back to that most policy limits are $1 million. We have a policy renewal next week. It's a $20 million policy because the exposure of the client is that big. Now, how do you assess that? You really need to sit with your management team. That could be just the owner of the company. I get it. Small businesses have it tough. You don't have a consultant with that, and your insurance agent, and have a frank discussion. What's the worst case scenario that you can imagine happening? All your clients' data's out there, and you're all over the news and the federal government. Maybe you're in a position in life where you can just fold down your business, retire, and that's it. Most people aren't in that situation. So having a good strategy up front, can really, protect you and your family's legacy. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions for me, please reach out at chris@brookinsure.com or give me a call directly at 401-381-1350. Thank you for your time. And Kenny, back to you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to toss this over to Dan. Dan is our vCIO. Dan's job is to walk our clients through all of the fundamental tasks that are required to keep their business up and running. He's going to have regular scheduled calls with our clients to talk about future planning, current planning, where they are, what they need to do. So with that, Dan has seen a lot of these insurance questionnaires, so we thought it'd be great for him to come on and talk about a lot of the questions that he sees.
Hello, I'm Dan Costa, vCIO for Braver Technology. Helping our customers with cybersecurity insurance applications has become almost a daily occurrence for me. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the do's and the don'ts. Over the last couple of years, these forms have changed considerably, going from simple 1 or 2 page forms to in-depth documents asking questions not only about your present-day security posture, but also how you view the importance of information security. As businesses ask for higher value policies and claims are made against those policies, insurers, of course, want to protect their exposure. These forms have turned into self-assessed audits of your computing environment. Questions like what percentage of your IT budget is spent on cybersecurity is just one way insurers are evaluating your attitude towards information security. When filling out these forms, don't take any chances. Answer honestly. If you feel a question deserves more than a simple yes or no response, attach a statement to the application explaining why. Ambiguous answers often work in favor of the insured party, but regardless, don't put your claim in jeopardy. Offer complete and honest responses. If you're unsure of what something means, question it with the carrier. Don't guess. Answering no might not have an effect on your premium, but it might affect your claim. If you're not sure, ask your carrier how a no response affects the cost of your coverage. Also, at times, forms don't ask for simple yes or no answers. In those cases, answer those questions completely, offering information about systems used, versions that you run, etc. Most often, the forms will guide you through this. Questions can sometimes be interpreted differently. Do your best to answer the question exactly as worded, not reading into it or expanding upon it. If you're still uncertain and feel the answer requires explanation, then attach a separate document doing so. The ever-changing world of IT and cybersecurity, keeping up with acronyms, well, can be difficult. If you're unsure of what something means, question it with the carrier. Your MSP should be able to help you with this as well. Many businesses think that this is purely an IT issue. It's not. It's about having a comprehensive approach to information security, much of which is focused on individual users and things like properly securing areas where personal information is stored. Business processes are as important as your technology. Your overall security posture is as strong as its weakest link. In closing, making a decision as to whether or not you'll be reporting the breach or filing the claim should be thought out as part of your planning. Not doing so might put your customers at risk. Think in terms of when this happens to you, not if. Have a plan that maps out what you'll do when a breach occurs. That fork in the road will be much easier to navigate if it's not the first time you've thought this through. Be ready and have a plan. Braver offers its customers security policies as well as continuity plans that can help you. Please ask your sales rep or anyone at Braver Technology. Thank you, and take it from here, Kenny.
Okay, so let's go on to talking about avoiding future incidents. What can we do to go through and keep anything from happening? So number one is keeping your staff up to date on going through a regular cybersecurity training. We have all of this on our website. This is for you, for free, for you to watch. Now, you're going to do this on a regular basis. It's important that you keep your team up to date in doing this on a regular basis. The other thing that we instituted across all of our clients last year is not only endpoint detection response, but we have a 24/7 SOC, that Security Operations Center. These people are looking on your network 24/7. Let's face it, the bad guys are going to try and attack you at 2 a.m. They're not going to try and attack you in the middle of the day. They're going to try and attack you when you least expect it. This is where this detection is. It's looking for those breaches to happen, and it's going to start remediation and shutting them down right away. I mentioned our security scorecard, really important to keep you up to date on all the basics that happen. The security scorecard is also going to help you pass a lot of those security tests. Security policies and procedures. You want to have your basic security policies and procedures. We have templates that we can make available to you to help you build those basic security policies and procedures. We also have an entire Cyber 74 security division. This division is intended to keep up to date on advanced threats and advanced needs of your clients. This is really important for keeping up to date on everything that you need to know. They do things such as cybersecurity audits, security assessments, penetration testing, managed security services, managed detection responses, malware threat, security incident response, breach remediation, litigation support, NIST, CMMC, and SOC 2 compliance. Okay, so what did we talk about? We went through cybersecurity insurance and is it worth it? We talked about what you need to know, talked about how cyber insurance can protect you and avoiding future incidents. We have training up. You want weekly tips that you can go through. We have training up on our website. Here's some of the training we have is basically we have comprehensive cybersecurity training on our website that all of your team could go through. We have descriptions on if you've been hacked, what you should do. What do you do next? We go through all of that. We go through creating an incident response plan. We go through a training on how to spot a phishing. This is a 15-minute training video that every one of your team should watch. We actually have real-life examples of what a phishing video is and what you should do to detect it. We'll go through online safety. What do you need to do to keep yourself safe online? We'll go through password safety. What is the best practices for going through passwords? And then we give you free on how to set up 2FA for your client, for your network. Okay, that is everything that we have today. I hope this was extremely helpful. I hope it helps you become a safer organization. Thank you, Dan and Chris, for also joining the call. I almost forgot to thank them. And thank you for attending the call as well.